Good evening, everyone. My name is Debbie Singleton, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Welcome to my Monday Night Live, where I bring you how to make a card. Hopefully it's a fun card. Usually it is. I hope you had a nice day today and a good weekend. I sure had a fun-filled day today and a busy day. So we are in the midst of redoing our guest bathroom. And so my sister and I, my sister is the creative one as far as decorating. So we kind of have a business of redecorating, reorganizing. That's how come I have this great craft room. I make cards and handmade gifts. Well, she is great with decorating homes and reorganizing. So that's what we do. And so we are redecorating my bathroom. And so I decided, okay, it needs a refresh. So we're doing our guest bathroom. And so I knew that we could, paint on the walls, do the, simple stuff, put the new towels, shower curtain, decor, and all that kind of stuff. So my husband's like, yeah, sure, that's no problem. And then he asked me the other day, so really, what are you doing? I said, well, we're going to do a new mirror, new light fixture, new paint, and, towels and all that kind of stuff. Oh, okay. I said, because, you're not going to let me do a new countertop and all that. And it's a small bathroom. It doesn't have double sinks or anything. So that's actually kind of a small guest bathroom. He's like, well, why not? I said, because I know the cost and I know you're going to keep the cost down. And he's like, well, get me an estimate. Maybe so. Let me have the opportunity to say no. I'm like, oh, okay. And of course, I had no idea. So today we were already going to go shopping for some other things. And so I said, guess what we get to do? We get to go shopping and see if he's going to say yes to having a new countertop. And we're not putting an expensive countertop because it's just a guest bathroom, but just to refresh it and do something different. So it's just a simple white countertop, but still, because it's not very big, because that bathroom, I'm telling you, is really tiny, but it was so funny. I was like, oh my gosh, we get to do something else. So it's really funny, but it all started because we had a leak in the ceiling, so we had to redo the ceiling. So it's turned in, just kind of snowballs and turning it into something else. So it'll be really cute and nice when it gets all done. So it'll look nice when it's all finished. So we've had so much fun just snowballing it and getting it going and getting some other things done with it and everything. And so it's been a lot of fun. All before we go on our trip, although we actually are going to put some of it on hold until we get back from our trip, because it's just in case something else happens and it gets too much. So just going to come over and paint the walls at least and stuff. Good evening, Mom. Thanks for joining. So we're going to put some of it on hold until we get back so that we don't have quite such a mess while we're gone. But anyways. So I decided again, we're still in the fall, starting fall and everything. And so I decided to do another fall card, but I'm going to kind of do a little bit different. So I dug out Pick of the Patch, and instead of the bundle comes with a punch. So you get the stamp set and then you get a punch that comes with it. So it punches out the pumpkins. So I thought that would be really fun. So I was kind of searching around, and this lady, her name is Mary Deathridge or something like that. I'm so sorry if I botched her name. So I saw her card. She had a really cute card. So I kind of utilized her idea and then made a different kind of card, but I utilized her idea. So the card we're going to make is kind of a fun fold card, and I used some of her ideas on this, so I think it's going to be a kind of a cute idea. So I kind of made it a fun fold, and then the card we're going to do, I did a little different than this card that I made because I had a different idea. So we, I think it was last week or the week before, we did some sponging and we did we made our own like background. So I made the background on this one and I think that it was too big and then you can't write on it anyway, so you could just make your own little thing. So I didn't like it being so big, so I decided that we're going to put that sponging part on the front of the card. So we'll see how that goes. And then we're going to put the DSP on the inside and plain vanilla piece on the top of it. So we're going to see how that works. But here's the card that I came up with. And I like that it's a fun fold. And I've done the fun fold similar where we kind of had this part kind of flap over. So I just kind of did a little bit different fun fold. But so we'll see what, kind of get started and see how this works. Because I had a different idea after I did this one. So, yeah, sometimes the ideas just kind of come to you. So here's a little bit different. So here's the card we're going to make. But you're the pick of the patch. And inside, I just kind of cut this little thing out. And I put cutie pie. And on the other one, we're not going to. And I did another little pumpkin on there. So, all right. So I kind of started it because it takes a while for you to make this piece. So I kind of started the piece already. So you start with a piece of 7 1/4 by 5 1/2. So this piece is 7 1/4, and then this is 5 1/2. And then you score it at 3, and then you are going to fold it over, and that gives you your little flap piece here. And then you fold it and give it a nice little crease. So that's going to be your little piece there. And so what I decided to do, instead of making the designer series paper out here, I decided to put that on the inside. So this piece right here, we're going to make right here. I've already got it sort of started. So that piece right there, I had to write all the, pardon me. So that piece on the outside is very vanilla, as I used, and it's 3 3/4 by 5, and I just used very vanilla, and I started it. So I started out with my crushed curry, and I used my blender brush. I did my first layer with my blender brush, and again, I just stamped on, and then I just, I went all around with my crushed curry. And then I used my pumpkin pie, and then I went over it with my pumpkin pie. And what I had to do this time was, because it kept moving on me, even though I used my cute little Post-it notes, but it kept moving, and I'm not sure why it kept moving. So underneath, I secured my piece of paper with a little piece of washi tape. That seemed to help secure that, and then I used my fingers. So I used my pumpkin pie, and then I just kind of went over that too, got it to where I think that I want the pumpkin pie dark enough. Well, I don't know. You can also make it however dark that you want the colors to be. Again, it's your card. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my Cajun craze. And we're going to just kind of finish off with our Cajun craze. And I think I'm going to leave some of these top pieces up here kind of like that. So on my card, I went all over it with Cajun craze. Again, I just kind of just swirled it. So, and I obviously missed some of the pieces, which is what I kind of wanted. So I might just kind of do that again and just kind of swirl it and just make certain pieces darker. So I'll get my Cajun craze out. And you just kind of daub on there, and then that kind of just makes it, and then you daub off. And then I always start off of the page and then come on, and then that just makes the color on, and then I just swirl around. Daub. And I've done it on both sides. So I start over here and I come this way, and then that gives it kind of a different color as well. So, yep, this is working much better, this one. So we might want some of these just a little bit darker. So I might just come back through here and just make them just a little bit darker. Some of these I just want to highlight darker. And just keep, that's what fall colors do. Some of them are darker and lighter. Some of the leaves are just, But I'm going to just kind of go all the way around like this. Let's see how that comes out. And then I'm going to pull it off and see what it looks like. You can't put it back on, but it'll be what it is when it gets pulled off. So let's see what it looks like. I think that's going to be pretty good. All right, I'm going to close that back up. Now I'm going to have to fix some of these edges because I put the washi tape on there, kind of like I did last time. Oh, I like that. Okay. So it did make some of them a little bit darker. All right. I like that. That looks really nice. Okay, so let's go through. Let's put this aside because this is wet. Okay. And there's some left on my brush. I just want it to just have that little bit of a line. So I'm going to just kind of make it blend that in just a little bit. So there's not quite a line on there. Okay. Okay, so that's going to be our piece that's going to go on here. All right, let's set these aside. And then I decided on the inside, what I'm going to do is I'm going to layer that. So I decided I'm going to take a piece of Cajun Craze, and that's going to be our normal 4 by 5 1/4. So that's going to be our inside piece first. So I'm going to layer that before I do the outside pieces. I'm going to layer this. And then let's get this on. So then I decided to take my DSP, which she used this DSP from Inked Botanical, and I thought it went perfect because it's like a Cajun Craze, which is we use the Cajun, crushed curry, so that matched very nicely. Just from a different set. So this piece is 3 1/4 by 5, so that's gonna be very nicely. Then and all these colors are such beautiful fall colors. And then I decided to take my Very Vanilla. Oh, thank you, Mom. Yeah, they are. They're just gorgeous colors. So this piece, the Very Vanilla, is 3 1/2 by 4 3/4, and that's going to go right like this. So before I put that on there, I'm going to stamp on the inside of it, and I'm going to stamp. Where's my stampy things? Hold on. My poor desk is just an absolute mess. So I think I want to stamp it the reverse. I think I want to stamp you're the pick of the patch. And I'm going to stamp on the outside something different. So I think I'm going to stamp here the pick of the patch. And I think I'm going to stamp it in. I'm going to just use Cajun Craze because it's sitting here. Okay. Yep, nicely. Okay. And I ended up stamping an extra pumpkin so I can put on here. So what you do is you take your pumpkins. I stamped them on extra berry vanilla, and I stamped them, and I made a template. So an easy way to do these is, here's the little stem, and here's a small pumpkin, and here's a large pumpkin. So here's the small pumpkin, and here's the large pumpkin, and then here's the stem. And I think this is like a little flower thingy. I'm not sure what those look. A little, it's like a different stem. It's like one of these little other stems in here. So you can stamp these so that you can punch them all at the same time. So I made a template. So I punched them out, and then I made a template so that you can use your template and put this down, and then you can put the stamp on like this. Bam. And then you have a template, and you can put this in here. And then once you've stamped it again, you'll see where it goes, and then you can punch them out and punch them over and over again. So I made an extra one, and I am going to just put this in here. But I'm first going to put the little stem on. I'm going to glue the little stem on, and then I'm going to put this on here. So, now, some glue the stem on the outside. I like the stem behind there. I don't want the stem to show, but you can glue it however you want to glue it. It's your card and your pumpkin. I want my stem to show. So, well, that was silly because I should have put it on the other side. Yeah. All right, so we're going to have to put it a different way. We're going to have to put the stem and then my pumpkin. I did it wrong. And like so. All and it still gives you room to write. All right, so now we can glue this inside. Maybe. The glue's almost gone. I need another glue. I think I'll be okay. All right, so now we're going to glue this inside. Okay. Now before we do anything, now let's glue this piece onto this piece. So that all matches too. You could have made that dark. I could have made that darker, but I wasn't sure. So, but it still looks nice. So I really like this on the outside. It's going to be really nice. Again, My other card, not the other, had the designer series paper, and that's okay too. I think this is going to look really nice too. I just made my own designer series paper, what I did. All right, so now to make this little floppy part, this piece is 3 1/4 by 3 1/4, and then this piece is 3 by 3. So let's glue this on so that you know how much room you have to play with to put your pieces on. Let's glue this on. Before you glue it onto this piece, then we'll make all of our all right. Now we're ready. This all aside. Until I was messing with that. All right, so now we're ready to build our pieces. Oh, I didn't cut out the little, sorry, this is sticking to me. Okay. I didn't build our green pieces. I did all the other pieces, okay. All right, so then to make the little green pieces, I used our bow punch, that's what it's called, or bow punch, however you want to say it. So I'm going to make some of those. Okay. I'm going to cut this off because it just gets caught in there and it's not any fun to get it out of your punch. Back in there. All right. All right, I think I just did. I think that's all I did. I'll just cut this off in case I need more. Okay. So I built this here. Right in the camera. So I always build it. Oh, I cut these off. That's right. They were a little too long. So I just cut that off a little bit. The stems off. That helps me build it. So before I glue it, I kind of build it. And then I know let's put these on our pumpkins. So I pre-cut these out just because it takes a long time to stamp them and then punch them. And everybody knows how to punch. Like you don't know how to punch. So this time we want to put the glue on the front side of these. Just want a dot of glue. Put a dot of glue. Okay. Okay. So then I build this. And we can stick out a little bit because that's going to go on the card, but you don't want it to stick out too much. So that looks pretty good. So then what I did was I came back in here and I put a little bit of glue, like, maybe not. So I kind of just put like a little line of glue because I'm going to glue these pieces. But I'm going to put dimensionals for these pieces. All right, so then we're going to put dimensionals, which put them away. They're probably on my table hiding somewhere. So as soon as you open a pack, they appear. All right, and I should have stamped my little saying, but I didn't think I got it out. So I want to say thanks so much, and I didn't get it out. That's why. Yeah. I decided to change how I did that one, that's why. When you open up for the first time your stamps, and especially the clear stamps, so that they'll stamp better, they'll stamp clearer, use your Versamark, stamp off, and then they'll, especially when they're imaged, but I do that for all of them. Let's see, what do we want to stamp with? Just black. There's my memento black. I think that's what I decided to do. Need to rate my black. Okay. All right, so now we're ready to put these on. Hi, Stephanie. Thanks for joining. All right, so now we have these on. There we go. And we have those. And now we're ready to put this on. Now, what I used was my Terran tape because it's a little bit heavy and I don't want it to fall off. You could use your Tombow would work, but it's a lot better if you use your Terran tape. So I kind of positioned this where I want this to go. About halfway. Use your Terran tape. And kind of gauged, okay, that's kind of about where I'm thinking. So now I know kind of where, how many Terran tapes I want to put on there. So About 3 rows, looks like. We'll do. That way it's going to stay on there. Make sure. I might have it come out to about there. All right, so I'm going to use my take your pick tool. It helps me get this off so much better. I don't fiddle with it. All right, make sure it's the right way up. It's about even. There we go. Oops. Yep. Then our last thing I'm going to put on here is our adhesive back speckled dots. I thought these went really nicely. And I'm going to pull off these, the green ones. I think those go so nicely with it. So I'm going to pull 2. And I think I'm going to put 1 more down here. And then what I decided is to go with, pull that out. I pulled this 2 1/4 by 6 to put on the envelope, and I think that will tie it all together perfectly. And so there's our card for tonight. So this is the one I did earlier. So this, we made our own DSP, and this was the DSP that we had earlier, and then I just reversed it. So I put this on the inside, and this is what I put on the inside instead. This is, I made the DSP on the inside. So I just kind of reversed it a little bit, just kind of changed it up a little bit. So just changing it and making it just a little bit different, but still using kind of the same concept. But I kind of am thinking, oh, I kind of like that too. So, but I like the leaves on the outside too. So, but your cards for today. Thanks for joining me. I really appreciate it. Hope we all enjoyed that. So have a great night. Thank you again. Sorry, I went over just a little bit. So, oh, good. Thank you. I'm glad you liked both of them. Yeah, sometimes I never know. I just kind of thought in my head after I made the first one, if I reversed it and kind of changed it. So you just kind of never know until you change it and see what happens. Well, thank you very much. And I will see you guys next Monday. If you have any questions or need anything, please feel free to get in touch with me. Otherwise, we'll see you next week. Bye-bye. Have a great day.